You've looked into their eyes and seen something that isn't quite human, haven't you? It's a coldness that feels ancient, a hunger that never settles, and a darkness that seems to move on its own. We call it many things: disorder, pathology, or ego, but today we're going to talk about the literal demon that controls the narcissist from the inside out. It is the invisible architect of your pain and the true master of their every move. I know you felt it. That moment when the person you loved suddenly vanished, replaced by a stranger with a jagged, hollow stare. It's a chilling experience because it feels like you're no longer dealing with a person, but with a force. This isn't just about bad behavior or a lack of empathy. It's about a deep, structural void that demands to be filled at any cost, even if that cost is your very soul and your sense of reality. Why does it feel like you're fighting a ghost? Why does every argument feel like a loop you can never escape? It's because you aren't actually talking to them. You're talking to the defense mechanism they've built to protect a hollow center. This demon is the psychological parasite that convinced them long ago that being vulnerable is a death sentence. It's a predator that lives in the gaps where their authentic self used to be. You've probably spent years trying to reach the person underneath the mask, thinking that if you just loved them enough, the demon would leave. But here is the hard truth. The narcissist chose the demon. They made a bargain a long time ago to trade their humanity for a suit of armor that no one could pierce. They didn't just invite this darkness in. They gave it the keys to the house and let it start making all the decisions. Think of the narcissist as a high-end vehicle with no engine. It looks perfect on the outside, shimmering under the showroom lights, designed to make everyone stop and stare. But without an internal power source, it has to be pushed by others just to move an inch. That pushing is what they do to you. They drain your energy to fuel a life they cannot sustain on their own, and the demon is the one holding the empty fuel tank. This isn't a story about a person who is misunderstood. It's a story about a person who is being piloted by a force of pure entropy. Entropy is the tendency for things to fall apart, and that is exactly what happens to every relationship a narcissist touches. They don't build, they consume. They don't grow, they colonize. And the most terrifying part is that they don't even realize they are doing it because the demon is in control. If you've been feeling like you're losing your mind, I want you to take a deep breath. You aren't crazy. You've just been caught in the crossfire of someone else's internal war. You've been trying to play by the rules of human connection while they've been playing by the rules of survival. The demon doesn't care about your feelings, your history, or your future. It only cares about the next hit of validation to keep the void at bay. I'm going to peel back the layers today and show you exactly what is happening behind those eyes. We are going to look at the mechanics of this darkness so that it can no longer hide in the shadows of your confusion. Knowledge is the only thing that can break the spell they've cast over you. Once you see the demon for what it truly is, the fear starts to evaporate. You realize that you aren't the problem. You were just the prey. This journey might feel heavy, but it is the most important thing you will ever do for your healing. We are going to stop asking why did they do this, and start understanding what is driving them. When you see the driver, the car stops being so intimidating. You begin to understand that the chaos wasn't your fault, and it was never within your power to fix. The demon is a closed system, and you were never invited inside. So, stay with me. This is the secret knowledge that the narcissist never wants you to have. They want you to stay focused on their words, their accusations, and their fake tears. But we are going to look past all of that. We are going to look at the entity that runs the show, the one that keeps them trapped in a cycle of destruction and keeps you trapped in a cycle of grief. It is time to turn the lights on and see the truth. To understand this demon, you have to understand the silence that lives inside them. Most people have a core, a steady sense of self that stays the same when the lights go out. But for the narcissist, that core is a vacuum. There is nothing there but a screaming, primal need to exist through the eyes of others. This demon is actually their own unbearable shame, personified and weaponized against anyone who gets close. Imagine living in a house where the floor is constantly disappearing beneath your feet. That is the narcissist's daily reality. To survive the terror of falling into their own nothingness, they create a false self, a glittering, untouchable god that the demon protects with absolute ruthlessness. Every time you try to point out a flaw or ask for accountability, you are threatening the floor. You aren't just an enemy, you are a threat. This demon thrives on a concept called narcissistic supply. To the narcissist, you aren't a human being with your own dreams and needs. You are a battery. The demon needs your admiration to feel powerful, but it also needs your pain to feel superior. If they can make you cry, they are the ones in control. If they can make you scream, they are the ones who hold the power. Your emotional reaction is the blood that keeps them alive. Have you ever noticed how they seem to get a weird, satisfied smirk when you're at your lowest? That is the demon showing its face. In those moments, they feel a twisted sense of peace because they have successfully projected their internal chaos onto you. If you are the one who is falling apart, then they don't have to be. They have handed you their demon to hold for a while, and they feel lighter while you're drowning in it. The demon's greatest trick is convincing you that it's actually your own reflection. Through a process called projective identification, they take all their ugly traits, their selfishness, their dishonesty, their cruelty, and they convince you that these things belong to you. You start to believe that you're the difficult one, the sensitive one, or the toxic one. But you're just holding a mirror that they've painted with their own dirt. This internal master is also a master of time. It keeps the narcissist stuck in a perpetual now. There is no past loyalty and no future commitment. There is only the immediate need to feel significant. This is why they can discard you after 20 years as if you never existed. To the demon, once a battery is dead, it is useless. It doesn't remember how much light the battery gave. It only knows that the power has finally run out. Think of the gaslighting as the demon's security system. When you catch them in a lie, the system triggers a total rewrite of history. They aren't just lying to you, they are lying to themselves so convincingly that they actually believe the new version of reality. The demon cannot survive in the presence of truth, so it must distort the truth until it's unrecognizable. It creates a fog so thick that you lose your own internal compass. The demon is also incredibly fragile. It is built on a foundation of all or nothing. Either they are the greatest person in the world, or they are a worthless piece of trash. There is no middle ground. This is why the smallest bit of criticism feels like a physical assault to them. The demon perceives any crack in the armor as a total breach, and it will burn down the entire relationship just to avoid feeling that tiny bit of shame. You have to realize that this demon is a parasite that eventually eats its host. The narcissist isn't happy. They are in a state of constant, low-level agitation, always scanning the horizon for the next threat or the next source of supply. They are trapped in a prison of their own making, guarded by a demon that promises them safety but delivers only isolation. They are the first victims of the darkness they bring into your life. When you finally understand that this is a structural, psychological blueprint, you stop taking it personally. How could you take it personally? A shark doesn't bite because it hates you. It bites because it's a shark and that is what it does. The narcissist doesn't destroy because you aren't enough. They destroy because the demon they serve requires a constant sacrifice. You were never the problem. You were just the latest offering. There comes a moment in every relationship with a narcissist where the demon stops hiding. Usually, it happens right when you start to set a boundary. Up until that point, as long as you were giving, the demon stayed in the background, letting the false self do the talking. But the second you say no, the second you demand respect, the shift happens. The air in the room changes, and you realize you are in real danger. This is the turning point where the love bombing ends and the devaluation begins. The demon realizes that you are no longer a reliable source of easy supply. You've become inconvenient. Suddenly, the person who called you their soulmate is looking at you with a level of contempt that makes your blood run cold. They begin to systematically dismantle everything you love about yourself, piece by agonizing piece, right before you. Watch how the demon handles the discard. It is often sudden and brutal. They don't want a clean break, they want a total collapse. They will smear your name, turn your friends against you, and try to take everything you have. Because the demon needs to leave you in a state where you can't fight back. It needs to ensure that even if you leave, you are too broken to ever tell the truth about what you saw behind the mask. This is the moment of the narcissistic rage. It isn't a normal temper tantrum. It is a volcanic eruption of all the repressed shame the demon has been guarding for years. In this state, they will say things so cruel that you can't believe a human being could utter them. They are trying to annihilate your ego to save their own. They are projecting their self-hatred onto you with the force of 1,000 suns, hoping it sticks. When the demon realizes that its usual tricks aren't working, it begins to panic. This is where the mask doesn't just slip, it shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces. You see the rage, not a human anger, but a cold, calculated fury designed to annihilate your perception of reality. They aren't fighting with you, they are fighting to keep their own internal collapse from swallowing them whole. It is a desperate, losing battle. You might see them try to hoover you back in. The demon knows that it needs a new battery, and sometimes it's easier to recharge an old one than to find a new one. They will cry, they will promise change, and they will act like the person you first met. But look closely at their eyes. The warmth doesn't reach the center. It is a performance. The demon is just wearing the love mask again because it's the most effective tool. This turning point is your greatest opportunity. It is the moment when the pain becomes so great that the illusion finally dies. You see the demon for exactly what it is, a small, terrified, and empty thing that can only survive by stealing from others. The power shift happens the moment you stop trying to save them and start trying to save yourself. When you stop feeding the demon, it starts to lose its grip on your life. The narcissist will sense the shift. They can feel when your energy changes, when you stop reacting to their provocations. This makes the demon even more frantic. They might escalate the abuse or try to trigger you in ways they know always work. It is a test of your resolve. They are trying to prove that they still own you. But every time you remain calm, you are reclaiming a piece of your soul that they tried to steal. You start to see the word salad for what it really is, a smokescreen. They talk in circles, bringing up things from 5 years ago, twisting your words until you don't know which way is up. The demon does this to keep you in a state of cognitive dissonance. If you are busy trying to make sense of the nonsense, you won't have the energy to see the exit door. The confusion is the cage, and the demon is the one who built it. But the exit door is right there. It has been there the whole time. The only thing keeping you inside was the hope that the demon would eventually turn back into a prince. Once you accept that the demon is the true inhabitant of that body and the prince was just a costume, the cage door swings open. You realize that you aren't leaving a person, you are escaping a haunted house that was never meant to be a home for you. When a narcissist loses their supply, they enter a state called narcissistic collapse. This is the demon's nightmare. Without someone to mirror back their false greatness, the vacuum inside starts to pull inward. They become paranoid, depressed, and increasingly erratic. The consequences of a life built on lies finally begin to catch up with them, and they find themselves standing in the wreckage of their own making. You might feel a sense of pity during this stage. You see them struggling, and your empathetic nature wants to reach out and help. But you must remember, the demon uses your empathy as a weapon against you. They will play the victim to lure you back into the cycle. Their collapse is not a sign of growth or realization. It is just the demon's way of recalibrating to find a new way to survive. They don't want help, they want supply. The consequences for the narcissist are a life of profound loneliness. They may have a trail of friends and admirers, but they have no one who truly knows them because there is no them to know. They spend their entire lives running away from the one person they can never escape, themselves. The demon ensures they are always surrounded by people but always completely alone, trapped in a cold and hollow internal wasteland. As they age, the demon becomes harder to feed. The charm fades, the looks go, and the energy required to maintain the mask becomes exhausting. Older narcissists are often some of the most bitter and miserable people on the planet. They have burned every bridge and alienated everyone who ever truly cared. The evil demon has finally finished consuming the host, leaving behind only a shell of resentment and ancient anger. For you, the consequence of staying too long is the erosion of your identity. The demon doesn't just want your time, it wants your self. It wants you to forget who you were before you met them. It wants you to believe that you are nothing without them. This is the dark, honest truth of the narcissistic relationship. It is a slow-motion murder of the soul. They don't want you to die, they just want you to stop being alive. You see the human detail of this wreckage in the way you now flinch at loud noises or the way you double-check every word before you speak. You see it in the way you've lost touch with your hobbies, your passions, and your joy. These aren't just bad habits. These are the scars left by the demon's claws. It took a long time to build this level of fear in you, and it will take a long time to unlearn the lessons of survival. The narcissist will never apologize. To the demon, an apology is a total surrender. They would rather die than admit they were wrong, because admitting a mistake means admitting they are human, and being human means being vulnerable to shame. This lack of closure is one of the hardest consequences to bear. You have to learn to find your own closure in the silence, because the demon will never give you the satisfaction. They will likely replace you before the bed is even cold. This isn't because you were replaceable, it's because the demon needs a new source of energy immediately. It's like a person who is starving. They don't care about the quality of the food, they just need to eat. This new person isn't the winner of a prize, they are just the next victim in line. The demon will treat them exactly the same way it treated you. The most unflinching truth is that the narcissist doesn't miss you. They miss the way you made them feel about themselves. They miss the way you managed their emotions and absorbed their toxicity. To the demon, you are a high-functioning appliance. When the dishwasher breaks, you don't mourn the dishwasher. You just get frustrated that you have to do the dishes yourself until you can buy a brand new, shinier model. But there is a silver lining in this collapse. When you finally stop being the host, the demon has nothing to feed on. It is forced to look elsewhere, and that is when you are finally, truly free. The consequences for them are eternal. The consequences for you are temporary. You can heal, you can grow, and you can find your light again. They, however, are stuck with the demon until the very end. The exit is your only victory. We've walked through the darkness, and now it's time to step back into the light. I want you to look at your hands and realize that they are yours again. The strings have been cut. The person who tried to convince you that you were small was actually the smallest person in the room. The demon that seemed so powerful was actually just a collection of shadows and echoes, and shadows have no power when you turn on the light. Healing from a narcissist isn't just about getting over a breakup, it's about an exorcism of the mind. You have to remove the voice of the demon that they planted in your head, the one that tells you that you aren't enough, that you're too much, or that you're unlovable. That voice was never yours. It was a projection of their own self-hatred. Every time you speak kindly to yourself, you are driving that demon out for good. You are going to feel a strange sense of grief, and that's okay. You aren't grieving the person they actually were, you're grieving the person you thought they were. You're grieving the future you planned with a ghost. Let yourself feel that loss, but don't let it pull you back. The prince or princess you loved was just the demon's bait. You are mourning a beautiful lie, but you are living a difficult, yet honest, truth. Empowerment comes when you realize that your empathy is not a weakness. The narcissist targeted you because you have what they lack: a soul. You have the ability to love, to create, and to connect. They tried to steal it because it's the most valuable thing in the world. They couldn't break you, even though they tried. The fact that you are here, listening to this, means that your spirit is still intact and ready to rise. You are not damaged goods. You are a survivor who has seen the depths of human darkness and made it back to the surface. That gives you a level of depth and wisdom that most people will never understand. You now have a demon detector. You can see the red flags from a mile away. Your boundaries are no longer suggestions. They are ironclad laws that protect the sanctuary of your peace. You are finally safe. I want you to forgive yourself for not knowing better. How could you have known? You were playing a game of heart, and they were playing a game of war. You didn't lose, you were just playing the wrong game with the wrong person. The demon relied on your goodness to keep you trapped. Don't let them take your goodness away as a final parting gift. Keep your heart open, but keep the gates to your life very, very guarded. There is a cinematic beauty in the way a soul repairs itself. It's like kintsugi, the Japanese art of fixing broken pottery with gold. The cracks don't make you ugly, They make you more valuable and more beautiful because they show where you have been tested and where you have overcome. You are becoming a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more authentic than the person you were before the demon arrived. The narcissist's greatest fear is that you will move on and be happy. Not because they love you, but because your happiness is proof that they didn't destroy you. Your joy is the ultimate act of defiance. Every time you laugh, every time you succeed, and every time you find genuine connection, you are winning the war. The demon has no power over a person who is no longer afraid and who no longer needs its approval. Take a moment to feel the space around you. There is no more walking on eggshells. There is no more waiting for the other shoe to drop. There is just you, the breath in your lungs, and a future that belongs entirely to you. You are the author of the next chapter, and the demon has been written out of the story. The house is quiet now, the air is clear, and for the first time in a long time, you can finally hear yourself think. You are the light they tried to steal because they couldn't produce their own. But the beauty of light is that it cannot be owned, only shared or blocked for a season. Their demon is a master of shadows, but shadows have no power once you walk into the sun. You are free, you are whole, and you are finally coming home to yourself. Remember this, a demon can only haunt a house that it's allowed to stay in. It's time to change the locks.